Congratulations for being a finalist in this year's Black Swan Portraiture Prize. How do you feel about being chosen?
Pretty excited.
It's great to have this platform to kind of, show the work and to explore new work as well.
This is my second time as a finalist, and yeah, I had a great time last time. It's exciting again.
Very thrilling, and it's an honour.
Being a WA-based prize, which is important, it's lovely to sort of have your work seen by your peers and your contemporaries.
This is the first sort of recognition I've ever had, so it's, I was jumping around the room, really.
I'm feeling so humbled and grateful to be chosen as a finalist in such an important national portrait competition, of course.
It gives me a chance to get the painting out and see what the public think.
The Black Swan Prize is pretty elite. For me, my art is a way of connecting to people.
What I'm looking forward to again is having that contact with other artists.
Because I think we can be very solid, very singular creatures and kind of just work away at things.
It's been a private journey where I'm in my studio.
It's not that often that you get to meet up with other artists.
What would it mean to you to win the Black Swan?
Of course, it would be a huge achievement to win such a great competition and award, and it would be a huge boost to my art career.
So tell us about your painting, about your subject. Why did you choose her?
Well, she is a friend, and she's just an inspiration to women. She's so capable and, yeah, a very strong person, very unique.
I drew myself and Moira painted herself, and so yes, it's basically a self-portrait. So yeah, we are the subject, but it's kind of like the friendship is the subject.
So I painted a whole painting of myself, and Eloise drew a whole picture of herself, and then so we had two whole individual pictures, and then we had to bring it together, and it was interesting to see the balance between the two mediums.
I had an idea of doing a portrait or a series of portraits based on people's scars, I suppose, essentially. And when I was actually trying to think about what I could do for this year's Black Swan, it was about the time that Turia was quite firmly in the public's eye, and just sort of woke up one morning and thought, you know what, she would be a pretty good person to do a portrait of. Not so much because of the circumstances that got her to where she is now, but more to do with what she is actually doing now.
What always fascinated me about portraiture as a genre is the way that you can actually capture someone's spirit or their personality in an image, and it's less about what they look like and more about what they feel like and who they are and what they're about. So he was a wonderful subject in that way.
The artist is Len Zooks, and he's a WA artist, sculptor, painter. I wanted to sort of capture some of his personality, which is basically, he's been through the art world and he's come out the other side. He's got such a rich life and experiences, and in looking at his face, I wanted the viewer or the public to sort of appreciate the sort of depth of experience that he's had in his life. And again, with the portraiture stuff, it enables you to capture those layers of people.
The subject is acquaintance, which I've known for a while now. I didn't know really how and when to paint him, and I found the Black Swan competition as a good opportunity and good time to put something together and express my feeling and his character.
My portrait is a result of a cathartic personal experience of mine following my separation from a deeply meaningful relationship with a warrior who's committed to serve as a soldier. I knew the man behind the mask, and we all wear masks and we all have inner conflict, and his inner conflict triggered mine through our disconnection really, and our connection, and it inspired me to evoke empathy for that man behind the mask. He's really just one soul symbolising the thousands that wear the shrouds of war.
The painting is of a friend that a house shared, and we shared a studio together. He's a potter in Canberra, and a very good one, but he suffers from bipolar, very serious ups and downs. I have painted him many times, but just before I left Canberra last year, I decided I would do one that was more about his condition than him. Something, a painting that's more universal. I was trying to bring in a kind of a Jekyll and Hyde effect. So you've got the subdued, over-medicated Hugh, and then in periods of outrageousness during those manic episodes.
What was the most challenging part about painting him?
The hands.
Yeah.
The time frame.
I wanted to somehow capture her spirit and her personality, and I think that was the most difficult.
Most challenging aspect was actually the fact that I chose to paint him about a year or two after we separated.
Keep it from becoming a sentimental piece. Looking at it as a painting of a condition and not of him.
Deciding on the mediums and how they would, create a kind of cohesive sort of image, and one not fighting the other. Trying to find something that visually would read, still kind of have that kind of tension, I suppose, between the two aspects. And then the whole, collaborative process. When you're working with someone else, there's a whole process of decision making and, giving up a piece of yourself.
There was some challenges in terms of just, I suppose, taking it as it is and trying not to make it too confronting, because that was something that I really didn't want it to be. I wanted it to be striking, but still a beautiful piece. That was my original intention of getting who she was as opposed to how she looks.
The most challenging aspect is really capturing that character and that sense of personality. I think sometimes the most boring portraits are just what people look like, and probably owe sometimes a little bit too much to the lens, the photographic way of looking at the world, which is quite different, I believe, to the way that the natural eye inclination of an artist will look at the world. The artist will see things slightly different to a camera lens. They'll see so much more. That's the beauty of the artistic eye.
The challenge for me was to communicate Len in the painting, and that's, I think, what Portraiture is all about. If you're just going to paint the face as realistic as possible, or whatever the case may be, then you might as well take a photo, as far as I'm concerned. So there needs to be another element that you're putting into the painting that communicates the character. I was getting a bit frustrated that it wasn't I wasn't connecting to it in the way that I was connecting to Len. I want to be able to look at the painting and get the same feelings and emotions that I get when I engage in Len as a person. So it wasn't happening for me in the beginning. There was a point there I just wanted to just throw the whole thing away. So I started again. I started getting a bit looser, a bit more sort of in tune with my own personal style, and with, I think, the way that I see Len in the way he's carefree and positive, and when I started doing that, I started feeling better about the painting, and in the end I was happy with it.
It's more about telling a story about the person and how to tell this story that everyone can read, and it's challenging to paint a portrait without showing the face and telling about that person.
What's the best thing about being an artist to you?
I'm always surprised at what I do. I sort of almost go into a trance-like state while I'm painting, and then look at it almost like for the first time, and it's always a surprise.
Sense of those small victories you have in your studio, the small satisfactions you get, yeah.
The unexpected brings joy rather than just the humdrum. I like things, challenging things.
The one thing I enjoy about it, which is helped by the fact that I'm part-time and don't have to try and make a living, is the freedom. I can essentially do who I want to do as a portrait or how I want to do it.
We as artists have the ability to bring what's up there and in our gut onto a canvas and to share that with the world, and I think that's really magical.
How long did it take to paint her?
About 3 months.
I suppose it took me about 3 weeks.
She only gave me 5 days before the due date.
I think from when we first started thinking about the idea, it was probably about just over 4 months.
It was throughout the night over about a month.
It took me exactly a month.
It would have been about 3 months.
I spent like 4 days just cramming in my studio and had lots of failures, like I said, with the large canvas.
Sometimes I spend more time thinking about the painting rather than just doing the work.
If there was one thing you could change in the art world, what would it be?
Oh, God, don't get me started.
It'd be nice to change the sabotaging belief that you can't make it in the art world, that it's very difficult to get in there.
The accessibility of it, I think there's people feel that it's a bit daunting, the art world, and it's not.
On the whole, I think what it really needs to be is something that everyone can get involved with. And the problem is when people see it as just being one big sort of, hulking industry, it's really not. There's a lot of pathways there and a lot of things that you can do.
And I often see it from an outsider perspective as a sort of industry which is a bit scary to sort of step into.
It should be as accessible as music is to everyone. There's just not enough around.
I know that schools suffer with the art teaching across the board. It's a subject that isn't respected. It's not taken seriously.
I wonder sometimes whether the art is viewed and valued in accordance with the artist, and too much of that is put on the artist. And I like to think that the art can stand up for itself and can be viewed and valued for the art rather than who's created it or its rarity or whether the artist is still alive.
I mean, most of the major art painting awards are Portraiture Prize. That's a bit odd to me.
I'd like to obviously see it more about the art.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of prizes around just for painting in general.
It would be great to have more opportunity for more artists to kind of get their work out there.
And really the art industry, well, art should be for all really. And that's one great thing about the Black Swan Prize, and prizes similar to that, is that it creates an opportunity for the public to get an insight into art.
It would be nice for the larger public to be more engaged with the arts.
I don't know, I think the art world is the way it is through the way the world is. I mean, there could be more funds and stuff available, but I don't know if that benefits art in the long run. I mean, it's sort of meant to be hard, I don't know. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
I don't think if I would change anything. Art world is diverse by itself and different enough. I don't think if I would change anything, it's beautiful as is.
It's great.